Hello, everyone. Welcome to WORDBridge Now. I am Angie Beimer Johnson, and we are teachers, educators, and authors who are collaborating against hatred. We use our acronym of TEACH. And even though you may not have the label of teacher, I think we are all educators in our own way. So we are glad you are here with us tonight. I'm going to start off by sharing some announcements and just getting us in the spirit of this evening that we get to hear from Carrie Hayes from World Central Kitchen. If you are one of our teachers and you would like to have a certificate documenting professional development hours, please feel free to put your name in our chat if you would, and your email as well. If you would like that to just go to one person, that's going to go to Christina Bringman. Christina is our virtual assistant, and she will get you a certificate documenting those professional development hours. I'm Angie Beimer Johnson. My pronouns are she, her, and thank you for joining us. We speak with authors and we speak with all people who are interested in building bridges and making our world a better place. What a big thank you to send out to Lee and Blow Books. They are one of our partners. They do books for everyone and about everyone. They are the largest publisher of multicultural literature, and they are independently owned, family owned, and minority owned. So check them out, Lee and Blow Books. If you are joining us today, and would you please mute if I think we have everyone set for that? Feel free to add questions in the chat, or if you would like to use the raise hand function, or if you have your screen shared, then you can of course just flag us down, and we would love to take your questions today. Right. I urge you to ask those questions. I do want to make you aware, though, that we have the right to share this recording tonight from Carrie. Thank you so much, on our YouTube channel, and we get to keep it up. So I'm very excited for that. We also will be taking the audio and we'll be making this into a podcast for our Book Bridges podcast, which is available on our website, wordbridgenow.com, and also on any of your favorite podcast players. If you do see some images tonight, we ask that you don't take screenshots and just respect the intellectual property of those folks who have created those. And I do want to give an acknowledgement of the land. We are in the Columbus, Ohio area where WORDBridge is coming to you from. We are on the land of the Shawnee, the Wyandot, Kaskaskia, and the Mi'amia people. And we definitely urge the work of justice, the work of building bridges, materially, politically, socially, culturally, in all ways. So we definitely honor and thank those whose land we are on and commit to doing our part for justice. Let's take a moment and just take a breath. Busy days, busy worlds, lots happening. Let's just breathe for a moment. Thank you. I'd also like to introduce you to my co-hosts this evening. We have Badia Abdelatif. You want to do a little wave and say hello, Badia? Okay. And we have Nakhla Shahadi, who is also joining us this evening. And we will be having our conversation with Carrie from World Central Kitchen. Carrie is the Director of Media and Communications Strategy for World Central Kitchen. She has been with them since 2024 after being a private media consultant in Washington, D.C. Her background is rich in international experience as an award-winning broadcast producer. Carrie began her career at CNN, where she covered a wide range of global issues, including international and domestic politics, war, terrorism, national security, and extreme weather events, while based in both Atlanta and Washington, D.C. At the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, she oversaw the production of the 15-hour documentary series America at a Crossroads, which explored the impact of 9/11 around the globe. A passionate storyteller, Carrie combines her expertise in narrative and communications with a deep commitment to serving others in her work at WCK. She enjoys exploring food, culture, and travel with her husband and family, and is driven to use her skills to make a meaningful impact on communities in need. And I will ask you to please join me in welcoming Carrie Hayes of World Central Kitchen. Before we start in on our questions and our conversation tonight, Carrie suggested this video, which I appreciated so much. I ended up showing to one of my classes, Communication Arts for Educators. So we are going to take a moment and just give you an overview of World Central Kitchen.
Category 4 hurricane slamming into Florida's southwest coast this afternoon.
Firefighters are battling a devastating forest fire near Yosemite.
Explosions that rocked the Ukrainian capital.
An aftershock of,
feed everybody as quick as you can. Don't tell me you're getting ready to do it a month later. Don't tell me you are waiting to do it until you have everything ready to do it. It has to be urgent. Food and water is now. We didn't have enough trays, we didn't have enough plates, we didn't have enough knives, we didn't have enough hands. But we began. Anything else will take too much time. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, today. We do it with locals.
We're not victims. We're just neighbors helping neighbors.
We overcome every obstacle, and if we cannot overcome the obstacle, we go around. Here we are, and we'll come back tomorrow and the day after until you are okay.
لكن رغم كل اللي شفته في الحرب وهدم بيتي وتشريدي إلا إني كمان بازدياد قادرة إني أساعد وأعطي الناس مش بس في وجبات الطبيخ تعبي وعرق جبيني إني مساعدة كمان إني أساهم وأساعد في الناس.
And that's what makes World Central Kitchen so special. We have to go.
Category.
Powerful. So powerful.
The end to me is funny because that's so Jose.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
He doesn't, it's maybe sort of an inside joke because he doesn't stand still for long.
That's wonderful. When I asked the students, what stood out to them, they said the urgency, and that ending was perfect. that this isn't, as you said, this is not a month from now or a week from now or tomorrow. It's now. And yeah,
We talk often in World Central Kitchen about the urgency of now. And those of us are sort of word dorks. We argue that is that really proper phrasing? But we use it. It's ours, the urgency of now.
that's perfect. That's perfect. And Badia and Bella, if you would like to say a few words about yourself and your background, um, as we get ready to start in with these questions.
Right. Hi, it's so nice to virtually meet you. I am so excited and honored that Angie has us co-hosting alongside you guys. I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing. Um, it feels very special to have a conversation with someone that works with a program and an organization that ensures that there is food for every child and every family worldwide. And my name is Badia Abdullatif. I am a part of the Wright State English AYA program. So I basically just want to be an English teacher. And I feel like alongside the title of being an educator, there are so many other titles, such as being a humanitarian and an advocate and an activist. So I'm very honored to be a part of this conversation and this session. And I thank you for taking time out of your day speaking with us.
Thank you, Badia. Nafa.
Hello, I would like to say thank you for joining us as well. My name is Nala Shahade. I am a former student of Wright State University, but I graduated in May. I also was studying to be a high school and middle school English teacher. I think also alongside being an educator is being an advocate for our students and their needs. And I think that we get more about the academic and emotional side, but also having a hands-on part where it's like their physical needs of feeding them so that they're able to grow is a huge part of their development. I really do appreciate your work and the World Central Kitchen's work for all of the great things that they do. And so I think it's really important that we get to get more of a personal experience and to get to talk with you and see what your role is and all that you do and all that the organization does so that we're able to, come back home and help our kids in our own kind of ways. So thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie, is there anything that you would like to say before we jump into the questions?
First, I just want to say to all the teachers out there, as a mother of four, thank you 1,000 times over. The work you're doing is so vital, so important. You are on the front lines, and I know the days are long and hard and constantly getting new challenges put before you that go beyond teaching. But from one parent who sees daily just the impact you're having on kids, keep it up. We need you. You're loved and appreciated.
Thank you. Badia and Nala, take it away.
So I would like to ask you, I know you showed us that beautiful, powerful video, but so basically what is World Central Kitchen?
World Central Kitchen is a nonprofit organization that is first to the front lines with meals in times of crisis. That might be humanitarian crisis or an environmental crisis. But our focus really is in getting there first immediately after the crisis and providing those first meals to help get the community organized and on a path to recovery.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we got a little bit of your introduction about how you work with communication and media, but what is your specific role in the organization? So what do you do?
I'm the director of communications, and I work specifically day to day with our media and communications people in the field. So because we're a nonprofit, we exist solely on private and corporate donations. We don't accept any government funding. It's vital and important to us that we show our donors in as close to real time as possible the work that we're doing. And it's been very much part of the history of World Central Kitchen. We've been an organization now for 15 years. And from day one, we embedded media professionals and documentarians with our team in the field to capture what's happening. So my job, well, I guess there's lots of pieces to my job, but my favorite part of the job is hiring and contracting with locals in the communities we're serving, photographers, videographers, and working with them to get that footage and photos back to our headquarters in Washington, D.C., where I'm usually based, and turning that content into really storytelling that we can share with donors and followers. In a world where there's a lot of bad news, and of course, if World Central Kitchen is somewhere, probably it's bad news. I think we bring a lot of perspective of light in the dark. And so we really like to highlight how resilient and powerful communities are and the power of food in times of crisis. So that's my job. I get to work with pictures and videos and great stories day after day.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So I've been following World Central Kitchen for quite a few years now on my socials, and I'm very inspired by the work you guys do and with the smiles that you have. Sorry, I lost my trace of thought, but the smiles and the peace that you bring to certain environments. But I am curious, how did World Central Kitchen get its start?
So World Central Kitchen was founded by Chef José Andrés. He's a Spanish American chef. For those of you who aren't foodies, who aren't dialed into the celebrity chef ecosystem, he is definitely one of America's top celebrity chefs. He founded World Central Kitchen really, and I actually just heard him tell this story recently. He founded it because during Hurricane Katrina, he was sitting in his living room watching what was going on in the Superdome. And he was just really horrified and saddened. And I don't know if you've had times in your life, and I think we all have, where you have something in your core that says, I should be doing something about this. And he was having that moment as he was um, watching the situation unfold, where people had no food, no water after the hurricane. And he kind of thought to himself, like, next time I'm going to do something about it. And so when he got the next opportunity, he went to Puerto Rico and he started cooking. He's just started cooking for people. He has an amazing heart. He is probably the most energetic human being I've ever met. He moves at 1,000 miles an hour, and he learned a lot. And he went from disaster to disaster. He started getting his friends involved, and it really grew very organically. Now we are a much more formalized organization. We have currently just over 100 employees around the world. And when we arrive at a crisis, we bring a very small team. And it's important to us to bring a small team because we are more nimble if we are few. Once we're on the scene, we hire locally. We rely on local volunteers. We have over 40,000 people in our volunteer database. And then we work with volunteers and sort of identify people's skill sets. Some people really rise to fit a particular role well. Maybe they are really good at talking with people in their community. Well, we'll put that person on our community outreach team. Maybe they're really organized and good at logistics. We're going to have them organize all of the deliveries and drivers. So we arrive on the scene, we start delivering food immediately, talking with people. And as we gather local people to help pitch in, we start hiring them. We put them to work. So we're bringing meals, but we also really want to work to stimulate the local economy. So that's why we source our staff and the labor locally, as well as much of the food and supplies as we possibly can. Of course, I don't know if maybe you saw some in that video, some of the equipment we use is specialized. We have some specialized mobile kitchens. I think of like a food truck on steroids. We use gigantic pots and paella pans that you could take a bath in. Those are pretty hard to come by. But most of the supplies are things you can get locally. So we try to source as much as we can locally, again, to keep every dollar we possibly can in the local economy, as opposed to bringing food or supplies in, which really deprives the local economy of that stimulation.
Such a beautiful and raw story. I thank you for sharing his story with us. And it feels very reassuring to know that a beautiful heart leads such peace and beautiful outcomes in this sad world that we live in at times. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and again, to quote Jose, who's, I will say he's the real deal.
Mhm.
He's the founder. Yes, he's a celebrity. He has
Mhm.
cooking shows and cookbooks and his, his own podcast, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. But he's the real deal. In the worst of situations, he's there. He's there on the ground. He just was in Jamaica. He walks the walk, and it's really inspiring to have the opportunity to work in World Central Kitchen, just be adjacent to his energy.
Yeah. Well, I believe you both have heart of gold. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Mhm.
So I heard that you said Jose was very much a person that wanted to jump in on the first opportunity. And that was very vital to your organization to be the first people on the first organizations to jump in when a crisis does happen. So I was wondering, what kind of factors do you guys look into when it comes into like when a crisis happens, how do we jump in? So where do you start? Because I can imagine the community saying, we know there's a problem, but what do we do? So being someone across the world, like how do you just jump in and do that?
Right. Well, first, we're constantly monitoring situations across the globe. Weather, of course, I was joking with someone the other day that I know more about weather now than I ever possibly could have. I learned actually so much about weather from Hurricane Helene in Asheville, because there are over 100 micro ecosystems in Asheville, and just learning, how did this happen? How did a hurricane make it halfway up the United States and cause such damage? Anyway, so we're all kind of weather nerds, watching and monitoring all the time. And we are in touch with communities. As much as World Central Kitchen is an organization, we are not really the engine of the organization. The communities we serve are the engine. And we come when they tell us there's a need. The heart of World Central Kitchen really is a organization of about 530 and growing. I think it might be a few more now. I just was hearing from my colleague Laura Hayes, who runs our chef corps, that she's onboarding some new chefs. But this is a group of 530 plus chefs around the world who are really the culinary mayors of their towns and cities. And when something's happening, we reach out to them, and say, hey, look out your window. What do you see? I just met last month with a group of chefs in South Carolina and talked to them about um, their restaurants are in an area of Charleston called Shems Creek. That's right on a little creek and prone to flooding. And said, sometimes we'll look on the news, or we're watching the news, and that information doesn't always track with what's happening on the ground. So I'm going to call you. We're going to call and say, hey, do you need us? Can you handle this yourselves? How can we support? Do you want us to send a food truck? Do you want us to send a team? Do you want us to send you funding? What do you need? You, the community, you tell us what you need, because the community knows best. They know their neighbors best. They know the situation best. We might see massive flooding, but the community members might know that in a day that'll be gone, because they've seen it before, because they're familiar with it. So it's really a conversation with community, and our every move is led by the community.
I think that's beautiful. I mean, you give them a chance to come together and also, when they need that help, that they're like, I can do it. They
Hmm.
have someone they can go to. So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm working on our end of year video right now, and I've been charged with explaining how we work and also highlighting the almost 40 responses we've had this year. It's in 3 minutes, of course. And I came up with the idea of talking about a puzzle and saying that the way World Central Kitchen works is the way most of us approach a puzzle. We're not looking for what's broken. We're looking for the pieces that still fit together because they're there. But when it's happening to you, when you're a member of the community that is experiencing a tornado, a wildfire, a flood, sometimes the pieces are so scattered, just like you can't see it clearly. And that's what we're able to just come in, survey the situation from a little bit more zoomed out perspective and say, no, no, no. Okay, Asheville, you need water, but you have all these plumbers. There's 90,000 people. We can bring you 100,000 gallons of water a day. Let's get the plumbers to build these tanks. We'll plumb it into your restaurants. Now they have water. They can cook. We'll make some community filling stations. Just the pieces are there, but it's connecting members of the community and the resources and just helping in that way.
Speaking of specific areas or communities in crisis and where World Central Kitchen has been working recently and currently, what is the latest news from your team in the places that are working in Jamaica, Gaza, Ukraine, and Philippines?
Okay, let's go through this. Jamaica. We have opened 3 field kitchens in Jamaica. Our field kitchens are massive. For example, one of them in, I think it's a Westmoreland parish, is a convention center. So we'll set up like sometimes 10, sometimes 50 huge stoves and just cook and cook and cook. We can usually turn out anywhere between 30,000 to 200,000 meals a day in one of our field kitchens. So we have our field kitchens going. We've partnered with restaurants in Jamaica, and it's really interesting. One of my favorite stories. I like to kind of keep track of all of the different modes of transportation we've used to deliver meals, and we have a new one in Jamaica. It's motorbikes. So there's like a biker gang who helps drive some meals through the mountains, but when we initially got to Jamaica, the damage was severe. I was talking with our CEO, Javier Garcia, who was on the ground the first several days we were there. And he was saying it's one of the probably the worst he's ever seen damage from a hurricane. So that's saying something. He's been with the organization really, I think it's maybe since inception. So we had it was more challenging to get to the areas hardest hit. It took a couple of days, which was frustrating to us, but we have reached all of the island. We go door to door on foot, scouting, seeing who needs meals. And so now it's just a matter of continually providing the meals that people need. So that's Jamaica. Let's see what was next. Gaza. We have really exciting news in Gaza. It's been a difficult year, as anyone following the news knows. The need is great. We did have a point after the borders closed. We were able to keep feeding people for several weeks, but we did run out of stock. When we ran out of stock, we switched our efforts to provide water. And of course, every kitchen, you think of just how much you use water in your own kitchen, right? You need it to cook, especially someplace like Gaza. You're working with a lot of rice, you need a lot of water. And then also all the washing and cleaning after you cook. So our kitchens have had desalination systems inside of them so that we could desalinate the seawater to have potable water to cook and wash with. So we ramped up that desalination process to provide hundreds of thousands of gallons of water throughout Gaza. So of course, now supplies are getting back in. We're cooking again. We have, let's see, 4 field kitchens operating, and I just heard we're going to be opening another one hopefully in December. So we'll have now two field kitchens in north of Gaza, which is very exciting. And Jose was recently there. He set a goal that surprised all of us, that he wants us to be serving 1 million meals a day in Gaza. At the time he set that goal, we were serving 200,000 meals a day. So 1 million is a tall order. I'm thrilled to say right now we are serving 700,000 meals a day. So we are on track to meet that goal. And it is a necessary goal. Yes, more supplies are getting in. Yes, there is a ceasefire, but the need for meals and food is still tremendous. So we are very happy to be able to provide more and more meals and continue providing water in Gaza. Also, we have a mobile bakery in Gaza that was donated to us by the Kingdom of Jordan. It can produce 30,000, I think it's 30,000 loaves of bread a day. And the Kingdom of Jordan built 2 more mobile bakeries, and we just got approval to bring them into Gaza. So I think right now we're baking 1 million loaves of bread a day throughout Gaza, and we'll be able to really significantly increase that number as soon as those next 2 trucks come in. So exciting news in Gaza. In Ukraine, we've definitely seen recently an uptick in attacks from Russia. And one of the biggest areas of work our team in Ukraine does is what we call emergency response. When there's an emergency, we have a team there immediately providing meals to first responders and any civilians who are injured or impacted by the strike. So that work continues. It continues throughout Ukraine. We have regional leads in every region of Ukraine and emergency response teams in every region of Ukraine. And so that work is ongoing. This year, we have opened what we're calling community kitchens. Those are in shelters where people who are displaced from their homes are living. And these kitchens allow people to cook their own food. So just imagine you are displaced from your home, you're living in a shelter. Yes, it's great if an organization like World Central Kitchen can bring you meals, but the opportunity to cook your own food, to cook the food that you eat at home, that you make at home. I think as a mom, if I could make my kids the chicken and rice that they love, that's so easy. Don't tell them that I just boil a rotisserie chicken all day and throw some rice in there. But they love that. They love to come home from school. They smell that. It's been cooking all day. They're so excited. But now families can make whatever dish it is in Ukraine that's special to their family. They can make it for their family themselves. These kitchens are being built across Ukraine in shelters for internally displaced people. And my favorite project of the year, we have given away 11,000 hens in Ukraine this year. Each family in Ukraine gets about 10 hens. Sometimes we'll give a community, let's say 100 hens. They take care of them together. At first, when this project was introduced, we all sort of chuckled, like, what, we're giving chickens, live chickens? And I think even the staff of World Central Kitchen, we see amazing things every day, but we just were not prepared for the delight and joy that these chickens would bring people. In many cases, these animals are pets. Yes, they're a renewable food source. People are getting the eggs from the chickens. They're sharing the eggs with their neighbors. They're cooking things for their families and for their neighbors with the eggs that the hens provide. But it's something to love, something to connect with. And a lot of families and individuals who are living, especially on the front lines, they're alone. In many cases, they're living in the front lines. One, maybe they just, they're not going to leave their home. They refuse to leave their home. But a lot of them can't leave because they can't afford to leave or they're not physically able to leave. And so to give them something that also provides a little emotional support has really been a joy. And honestly, even just watching the video and photos come in of our own team, who are Ukrainians, interacting with these chickens, I could see like a little smile and sparkle in their eye that, the war has dampened for sure. in Gaza, we have a team of all 100% Palestinians. We now have about 1,000 Palestinians working for World Central Kitchen in Gaza. And in Ukraine, we have about 500 Ukrainians working for World Central Kitchen. Okay, Jamaica, Gaza, Ukraine. What was the other one?
Philippines.
In the Philippines. So the Philippines is interesting because we actually have two teams working in the Philippines now. One in the south in Cebu, where several weeks ago there was a new earthquake fault line opened. So we were there for quite a long time, and then now that area is experiencing flooding. So we're back serving Cebu, and it's working brilliantly because one of our goals is to come to a region to provide support, but then to train the local people how to replicate what we've done. And so that's what's happening in the south of Philippines. We were there, we were working with restaurant partners, and now those restaurant partners just started working again. They didn't even need us to come, right? We can manage that remotely. They already know what to do. Let's see, now in the north, there's flooding there as well. So we are mobilizing in the north. We just started, I think, yesterday or today. The days are kind of running together, but it's interesting to us now to be working in two different areas of the really a fairly small region.
Oh, thank you for letting us know everything. And it's very heartwarming knowing that the communities of these areas and the civilians there themselves are very involved in what you guys do.
100%, 100%. Another thing we really try at all costs to do is to always provide culturally appropriate meals. So what's comfort food for me is not necessarily, well, I'm actually from Ohio, so it probably is the same thing as it is for many of you there in Ohio. But even in the US, there's geographic differences. Someone from Louisiana versus someone from Southern California, they might be interested in really different foods and what tastes like comfort to them. Actually, I was just talking with our response director who worked in Texas after the flooding there in July, and she was kind of joking that day after day it was barbecue, 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 and one day she had the kitchen make like a pasta dish with Italian sausage, and she said, we got a lot of complaints. People did not want pasta. They're like, where's the barbecue? And so anywhere we go in the world, it's important to work with local chefs, local restaurants, to be sure that we're providing meals that taste like home.
No, I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I loved hearing all these inspiring stories from all around the world and all these different communities. I did have one question though, and it kind of tied back a little bit into the question I had earlier when it came to where does like what factors into where the organization goes around the world.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to kind of ask, because I know there's a huge famine crisis in Sudan. And I was wondering, so there's a lot of grassroots organizations there that are trying to get up and, provide food that they can, but it's just not resourced at all,
Mhm.
or not enough to handle like the millions that are being displaced. So I was wondering, how could people that are trying to advocate and trying to help the people that they can actually reach the people that are there in that kind of community?
Right. And we know at World Central Kitchen there are areas in need. Our niche is crisis response. So while I think our hearts ache for areas around the world, our specific role as we see it today, and who knows, every day is a new day. But right now is to respond to immediate crisis like a tornado, a hurricane, an earthquake, a war that's recently begun. I know that Jose recently, I think just about a month ago, did pledge through our sister organization, which is a foundation. He also started called Longer Tables. Longer Tables is going to be providing $1 million toward the ongoing crisis in Sudan. Yeah, it's difficult, but I think our number one focus is when we're deciding if we should go somewhere, is this an area that experienced a crisis in the moment that we can help be a bridge in the immediate aftermath to their moving forward? So that is kind of the lens through which our leadership make the decision whether World Central Kitchen is going to respond or not. The harder decision sometimes, honestly, is when to leave. We get very attached to these communities. It's very hard. And although sometimes our hearts might want to stay and stay and stay, we know that staying is not the best option for the economies we're trying to serve. After the immediate crisis response, if we stay when food is readily available again, then we're taking an opportunity for a grocer or a restaurant to make a sale, which is an important part of getting the economy moving again. So it's difficult to decide sometimes when to go. It's even more difficult to know the right moment to leave.
I'm going to hop in here and say that we have in the chat. Thank you, Joe, for being here. Joe is a colleague of mine in the College of Health Education and Human Services, and he says the factors of logistics, security, monitoring of fluid disasters, and delivering life-saving water and food, absolutely incredible. You attend to the very top of Maslow's hierarchy of need.
You know, if you are interested in logistics, World Central Kitchen is just a fascinating place to kind of follow. I really say we're not really a food organization, we're a logistics organization. How do you get people and food and supplies where they're needed and then distributed? Those are really, really what we do. And it's fascinating. It's really fascinating.
So, with your organization, how are we able to get involved and what can we do to support your organization here in America or across the world?
Well, I would encourage everyone to visit wck.org. On our website, you can sign up to be a volunteer. It's just great to have your information captured. You will go into that pool of more than 40,000 registered volunteers around the world. And when something happens, we send you an email. If something happens in your local area, you're going to hear from us. So that's step one. It's free. Anybody can do it. wck.org. Just go to the top nav bar and you can find sign up to be a volunteer. You can also see areas where we need volunteers. We don't really encourage what we call voluntourism, where people are traveling to an area to volunteer, because a lot of the places where we are, the infrastructure of the area is already severely impacted, and it's hard to really support tourists at that time as well. But wck.org to volunteer. You can also donate at wck.org. As I said before, we don't accept government funding. A strategic reason why we don't do that, because with government funding comes a lot of rules and regulations that would slow us down, frankly. And when we go, and we go fast, and we try to stay as lean and free of red tape as possible. So your donations really matter. You can donate to a specific response. You could target your dollars to Jamaica, Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, Lebanon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or you could donate to our climate disaster fund if climate change disaster is a passion of yours. You can also just donate to our general fund, and that what supports all of our work around the globe.
1000%. I will definitely be sharing that with everyone I know, for sure.
Thank you, Angela, for putting it in the chat. You're hired.
Perfect. Well,
and I should say also, if you want to keep up with me and critique my work, please check out WCK on social media. Our handle and on most platforms is at WC Kitchen.
Lovely, lovely.
And again, I think it's a good way to follow the news, but also get a good dose of light in the dark to see, whenever there's crisis, it really brings out some of the best in humanity, even though the times are hard. The people in the communities that show up to care for one another are just daily incredibly inspiring. And I think it's a great way to kind of keep up with world events, but also be inspired by the goodness of people.
Wow, so crucial. So crucial. When I showed the video to my class today, I said, I want to do this when
And
I
I'm
retire.
not, oh, one second, Angela, I'm sorry. I'm not hearing you. Okay,
Ah,
I fixed it. Sorry.
oh, okay, no problem, no problem. Um, I was telling my students today, I said, oh, I want to do this when I retire, but now I know I could just sign up right now as a volunteer and
Yeah. And
okay.
honestly, another way to help us, we're really trying to grow the organization. We're in an exciting phase where we are starting to really think about what does it mean to be World Central Kitchen. Um, Again, I lean on Jose's own words all the time, but he often says everyone's a part of World Central Kitchen. You just might not know it yet. Um, Whether someday you are in need of a meal or you are in close proximity to someone that does and you can help or volunteer, or if you donate, that's all part of being a part of our network. I would expand that to say that sharing information about World Central Kitchen is a great way to be part of our network too. If you could follow us on social media, share it on your own channels, talk to your friends about us. It's all opportunities to grow our network. And the more people who know about World Central Kitchen, the more people who can participate, the more people we can get prepared to respond in their own communities. And the more we can prepare communities to meet their own needs in times of crisis, the more communities we can reach.
So you mentioned that I know your founder, Chef Jose, has books, and would you like to share a few of those with us?
I would, and actually, probably the one he would want me to share the most, I don't have sitting here with me. He just released a new book called Change the Recipe. It's a collection of stories of his life and his life's philosophy, and a lot of it is very much woven into the World Central Kitchen's philosophy. Things like we were talking about before, the urgency of now, um, sort of relinquishing the idea of being in control, staying lean and adaptable, especially in times of crisis. These are all concepts that are really part of our ethos, and you can read more about in that book. Again, it's called Change the Recipe. It's a short book. It's kind of a delightful, lighthearted, yet very meaningful read. I personally enjoyed it quite a bit. He has another book. These I do have copies of. If you're interested in the origin story of World Central Kitchen, this is We Fed an Island, the true story of rebuilding Puerto Rico one meal at a time. So it's really about the first large-scale response to crisis of World Central Kitchen. And it touches on really all the themes we talked about tonight. It's a book I would also recommend that you maybe listen to the audiobook because Jose is narrating and you really get a sense of his passion through his words himself. I really enjoyed the audiobook. Any kids in your world? I feel like I'm doing everyone's holiday list here. Feeding Dangerously. This is really fun. Jose teamed up to write this book. It's a graphic novel with Steve Orlando, which if you're a comic book fan, he's pretty famous comic book in the comic book atmosphere. Anyway, it's a really cool, fun read about lots of our work around the world in graphic novel form. And probably the crown jewel of our books is the World Central Kitchen Cookbook. This is a cookbook where we highlight special meals from our responses throughout the world. We talked a little bit about the importance of serving culturally appropriate meals. So you'll see recipes from around the world and from different chefs around the world, as well as some of World Central Kitchen's own chefs. There's also some really beautiful stories about the people we encountered, the communities we encountered. It's broken into chapters, not so much like a traditional cookbook. You would, have your appetizers, your entrees, et cetera, et cetera. This book is broken into themes that we say are the WCK way. It's empathy, urgency, adaptation, hope, community, resilience, joy, and building blocks. So it's a little different approach to a cookbook. I would say it's more of like a sit down and read and then decide what you want to make for dinner. But it's a really beautiful book. I can say that because I did not help making this. So I'm bragging on behalf of my colleagues who did. They did a really fabulous job.
Lovely. Badia and Nala, did you have anything else you wanted to share? Or are we ready to open it up for comments, questions from anyone here this evening?
The thing I popped into my mind when you were showing the cookbook is when we try to teach our students, we try to give them culturally appropriate books. So I want them to see themselves in what we're learning and what we're trying to teach them. So I see the importance of that whenever you go to a certain area and you want them to feel welcome and feel the help that's coming to them in a way that, words they understand and, and ingredients they understand and they get. I think that's it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love so much about this job. I'm a foodie. I love food. I love to eat. I love culture. And food is such a huge part of culture, really. I mean, and so learning about the food is learning about the culture. Understanding the food is a way to understand people. And I think I think I know because I've seen it happen that food is this incredibly powerful tool and bridge between cultures. And the more we share, the more we understand, the more we taste and try, the more we can really come together and understand one another better.
So we're doing WORDBridge now. You all are doing Food Bridge.
Yeah, exactly. It is a bridge. It is a bridge.
Would anyone like to share a question or comment? Any of our participants tonight? We've got a comment. Thank you for sharing your uplifting message and mission this evening. Yes, yes, absolutely.
Can I ask all of you a question?
Sure.
What is your go-to comfort meal and why?
You can put that in the chat, or if you'd like to just unmute, you're welcome to do that.
Mine is very easy. First thing that comes to mind is a traditional Palestinian dish called makluba, where fried Nahla knows what I'm talking about. I feel like that's a comfort meal. In your cookbook?
Maybe.
But maybe we
I'm
could share
glad
the recipe and you could add it to your cookbook.
I think I know that we make that often because I always have to double check the
Oh,
spelling,
okay.
and it can be spelled a few different ways
Yes.
in English. So I'm constantly having to look that up. So it's very familiar to me
Yeah.
that
Have you ever tried it?
I think that I have. I don't know that it was all that traditional or authentic, but yeah, I'm looking
Yeah,
this up real quick. As
yeah,
other
it's definitely my comfort food. Frying some vegetables and rice and chicken. So there's starch and there's protein and there's vegetables. So it's everything in the food diagram. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Anyone else want to share or pop it in the chat?
I can think of just as we near sort of the holiday season. My grandma passed away oh gosh, 6 or 7 years ago now. So every time around this year, I got her dressings recipe before she passed. And so I always look forward to making that because I just feel like she's with me and it's a very special sort of feeling to have.
Lovely. Thank you, Lindsay. That reminded me of one of the things that my mother used to make. And my mom had a really kind of interesting experience that she grew up as a somewhat privileged person and was never allowed in the kitchen. Her mother was ill, and so they had someone who cooked for them. And so she would always say when she got married and she moved to the farm where my dad, was farming and did not even have indoor plumbing. So she had just like a radical change. And she would always say, like, she didn't even know how to boil water when she got married, but her mother-in-law taught her. Her mother had passed when she was a teenager, and but she always called them sweet rolls, but they were really just cinnamon rolls. And so all growing up, that was one of the things, homemade cinnamon rolls. And yeah.
I can smell them.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Anyone else like to share? Let's see. Oh, so I do not know. So Christina put something in Lefse. I don't want to butcher it.
It's lefse.
Lefse with butter. My very Norwegian grandmother used to make it when I was a kid. It's like a very thin potato flatbread. Ah, yes. Lovely. Oh, my goodness. Well, I just cannot thank you enough. I've learned so much. Thought your organization was phenomenal from the start, and it just hearing from you and hearing more. I'm very eager to read more of the books. I've really enjoyed, Change the Recipe and listening, as you said. I have a long commute and I love audiobooks, so I too especially enjoyed Carrie Chef Jose telling those stories himself. Just
Yeah.
what a treasure. What a treasure. And what a model for our world. It's a model of what's possible.
Mhm.
We have to choose it. And
Yeah. Yes. Choosing it, like getting out of the way of ourselves a little bit.
well, everyone, please join me in thanking Carrie. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
What an honor, and we are here to support you. And I'm going to go sign up to be a volunteer,
Yes, please. I'll
as
see you in
well as
the
make another donation. Yes, yes,
Thank you.
yes, yes. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Appreciate it. It was
And
wonderful having this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank
Badia,
you.
Nala, thank you for co-hosting. Lovely, lovely job. Thank you, everyone. And in the spirit of words as bridges, take care.